going to try to use some of our new MulWark bits here. The MulWark 13mm socket. Got a nice strong magnet inside. Nice long shank on it. There's no adapter here. That's just the shank on this thing. I love that part of it. So you're going to loosen up the handlebar. I think I loosened mine just a little too much, maybe. Nope, it's still holding. Oh, well, actually, I need to be centered with your tire. And then tighten it right back down. Pretty simple. We're going to use the 15 mil. We didn't get an impact socket, but I don't care. I'm not cranking on it. I'm not, you know, whatever. But we're going to use the MulWark extender, or oh, not extender, connector, whatever. Just because it is a 15 mil, and the MulWark kit I got doesn't have a 15 mil socket in it, so we'll use the thing to put it on there. It's going to take on your bolt here. Ooh, that's not a 15. Uh-oh. I misread that one. So we're going to put the 14 MulWark with the long shank on it. I love those. I love them because they're nice and easy. It's going to loosen that up a little bit. You don't want to over loosen it because it will come off, and then you'll have to stand there and play with it to tighten it back up and get her back on there, thread it back on. But see how the bull horns are kind of laid back a little bit? We're going to want to bring those up and center it because it wasn't centered anyway. Now this is easier to do when the bike's new and you can see those hash marks on the peg. Okay, that looks like it's more centered on there. And try to get up in there without jostling that handlebar any. I probably shouldn't have put that reflector on there yet. Yeah, I shouldn't have, because it's in the way. I thought about that when I tightened it down. I was like, oh, it's going to be in my way. But it's easy enough to just loosen her up. You just kind of want to take it. Tighten her down nice and tight because you don't want that thing moving on you. There's a lot of rust on that bolt or that nut, so it's a little sticky. Okay, let's take a minute to look at some of these MulWark sockets. This is the 14mm. I've used this a couple times this week. You can see a little bit of wear on the inside, not a lot, just a little bit. That's normal. That's quite normal. For comparison, we'll look at the 14 of the non-impact, which this is already shiny and silvery, so you really can't tell on this one because it is silvery. This one's a black, so any kind of from use is going to show up pretty good. I haven't used the 14 a whole lot because most of the bikes I put together use 13. And I've used the 13 every day, multiple times a day. I should add that I put over 200 bicycles together today. I've assembled over 200 bicycles this week using these. So that's not really a lot of damage. That's just a little bit of wear, not much. And that's normal. You can see most of the wear is on the outside from me tossing it around and everything else and dropping them on the floor. So that's my fault, not MulWark's. Let's look at the 15, which I use. I mean, this is what I use for all the tires. And I'm just using the extender on here because MulWark didn't have the 15 in this kit. And really for the tires and everything, I need a 15 deep well. And again, this is not impact rated, so I'm taking chances, but it'll be fine. This itself is impact rated, so. And of course, I'm just going to use my other ones until they get to the point where they're no longer efficient or no longer working. But this thing has put, what, over 400 tires on. Taken a few off because, you know, whenever I inflated the tires, the inner tube sometimes blows on them because they're usually pretty junk inner tubes when they come over. So there's really almost no wear on this. I mean, she's still pristine. And this is the one I've used. I mean, I've used over 400 times to put tires on. Now, that's not counting taking the tires off to replace the inner tubes after I blow them. I think I probably blew. I blew one inner tube this week. There was a couple that were already cut and already had a hole in them from manufacturing. So, of course, the tire's already on by that point, so I got to take it back off and then put it back on. So, we're well over 400 uses on this, just for the tires, just for the front tires. A lot of times, this is if I need a 14 deep well for the seat. Because some of the seats take a 14 deep well. So I'll put my 14 deep well on here to loosen up and then tighten down the seat to get the seat angled correctly and everything. That way. But I mean, still, this thing's holding up really well. I'm really happy with this. You can see she is still beautiful. And that's really the main one I've used. So I'm gonna have to get myself some impact rated deep wells at some point. I'm going to see if MulWark has any, because if they do, I'm going to go with theirs. Especially if they have the long shank on already built into theirs, because then I don't need these. Like, it sucks to have to pull these. Oh, I need a 14. Okay, here we go. It's easier just to go, boom, and then boom. To me, I don't know. Maybe I'm different than some people. I really love that MulWark did the shanks on these. The only downside to that I can see is if the shank breaks, you're out of that socket. But with other brands, I've blown through these in a week. And they are impact rated, and I've shredded them. Which does have quite a few sockets. I have not used any of them standards because the bikes I put together are all made in China, and I haven't had a need for standard tools, but I'm sure they held up just as well as the metric ones do. And I'm really impressed at how well these are holding up. They are holding up really well and doing a really fantastic job for me. The bit holder, I've used that quite a bit, and she's not showing any sign of wear in there, at least not that I can tell. So I'm happy with that too. I mean, these are great tools. They've been great so far. And I mean, I've only used them for about a week, but you got to think, I put together over 200 bikes this week. So when you look at that, when you look at how many bikes I put together, you got to really appreciate that they're not showing wear, and they're not deteriorating, and they're not are getting destroyed. You really do. You have to go. That's a lot of bikes. That's a lot of use. And it really is, guys. It's huge the amount of use I've gotten out of it. And like I said, I had some other bit holders or whatever they're called. I've had them from other companies at lifetime warranty, and they got destroyed within a week. I had to send them back, and of course pay for the postage to send them back. Of which, at that point, I might as well just buy a new one. So the MulWark run, I did more bikes this week than I've done in the past, and it lasted through the entire week. It's not showing signs of stress. It's not even feeling like it's going to break. Some of the other ones felt like you could tell they were going to break, usually about a day before they did. So these ones are still holding strong, you know. And if they do break, it's not a big deal for me. I mean, I'll just buy another set. For the money I paid for it, it's not that much. It's like $20 some for that kit. I mean, all I need is the connector, but I'm sure they might sell that separate. I don't know. I'll have to look into that to see if they do. I know a lot of these other companies, if you want to buy a replacement, you got to buy a whole kit. And then you end up with a lot of pieces that you don't use. So MulWark, keep up the good work there, MulWark. If you happen to make a toolkit or a toolbox, I would love a new toolbox, preferably stackable, with like 3 compartments. You know, one of them being fairly deep, one of them with a tray. Actually, 2 of them being fairly deep would be kind of really sweet. And with a tray, and with a little thing like this, so I can keep my bandages and extra screws in. Of course, most of those extra screws are free from other builds that they give too many screws, and I collect them that way. If I do have one that breaks or one that gets destroyed, I can have an extra laying around. So MulWark, I mean, you want to keep sending me tools like that? Great, I love it. We'll put the link for this down below in the description. Make sure you check them out. They are pretty sweet. Also, we're going to put a thing up here. It's either going to be up here or over there. I think it's going to be up here. To check out Silverland Tea. He also did a review on these. Great guy, fantastic guy. I think he's quite a bit more knowledgeable than I am on a lot of these tools. He also does some bike repair, which is pretty cool. I mean, I found that very interesting that he did bike repair, and I assemble bikes, and we're both getting MulWark tools. So yeah, just found that interesting. But make sure you check him out. Give him some love. Give him a like on his video. Give him, you know, subscribe to him. He seems like a really nice guy. He does a lot of, like, I don't want to say a lot of woodworking. He does some woodworking videos. He does some cutting out cardboard templates and stuff, and some of the MulWark tools. He's reviewed those. I think his reviews show more of the tools than mine does. But give him some love. Check him out. Bye.